put the kids to bed because we're doing something just for the adults. No, not that. We're making no-bake bourbon balls that are vegan and gluten-free. Let's get baking, or not baking. We're gonna start with the star of the show, which is the sugar wafers. I like to use the wafers such as these, with the layers of the cream filling and the crispy topping in between. Some people use the cookie version. I like this one, gives you good texture for the bourbon balls. But one thing that's really hard to find are wafers that are vegan and gluten-free. I did find this brand, Manischewitz. It's definitely clearly marked that it's gluten-free. However, I do want to give you a disclaimer because while all of their ingredients are in fact non-animal based ingredients, they do say it might contain milk or soy, probably because it's made in the facility that has those items. For me personally, I'm okay with that, but I just wanted to give full disclosure to try to find something that is completely vegan and gluten-free if you can find it. And if you do find it, please let me know in the comments what brand you're using and where you found that. But for now, for the purpose of this recipe, we're gonna go with these guys. I already prepared some by crushing it up. So this is 1.5 cups of the crushed up vanilla wafers. It's so easy. We're gonna just put everything right in here and mix it in this bowl. So our next ingredient will be our powdered sugar, and this is 6 tablespoons of organic powdered sugar. So just throw that in. Next, we're gonna add our pecans. You could use walnuts, but I prefer pecans because they just have more of a bite to them. Just wanna make sure whatever nut you're using, it's finely chopped. So we just add that right in. Next, we're gonna add agave, and that's just 1.5 tablespoons that I have right here. Spoon that right in. I wanna make sure I get all of it because it's only 1.5 tablespoons, so we wanna get all of it in there. The wafers are already very sweet, obviously, but this agave is going to help keep everything together. Then we have to add a little bit of vanilla extract, just 1/2 teaspoon. Throw that right in. All right, and we're going to add some cocoa powder. I have 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder that we're just gonna throw right here. And the last but not least ingredient is 4 Roses bourbon. I've done some research on 4 Roses. Everything that I found said it's both vegan and gluten-free. Do your own research, but for my purposes today, I'm gonna use this one, and it does taste pretty good. So let's just get that open. Smells, as you can see, I already tried some of it. So this is 1/4 cup. Get that all in there. Yummy. And then let's just start by mixing it in with the spoon. So easy, and it already smells so good. The cocoa powder and the bourbon mixing together. The sugars. And as you're stirring it, you'll feel it getting heavier because the bourbon's soaking into the wafers. And don't be afraid to like squish it down a bit. You really want this to combine, because we're gonna have to make this into balls. So we want it to get really mushy almost. All right. So that's as far as the spoon is going to take me. It's combined pretty well, but it's not together as much as I'd like. So I'm going to put some gloves on, and I'm gonna get my hands in there. Let's get in there. Just squish it around. Press whatever technique you want. Just make sure it gets real squishy. Oh God, it smells so good. So you'll know you're getting there when it starts to keep your form. Like, see how I'm squishing it and it's staying into a shape? That's good. That means we're gonna be able to put this into balls easily. All right, so let's start balling these out. I'm not gonna really worry about size because, you know, who cares? I'm gonna eyeball it like I'd like to do. When you get it in your hand, you're not gonna be able to ball it right away because it'll just start, you know, doing that. So give it a little bit of a squeeze on each side. And then lightly start balling. So it's about the size of, you know, A little ping pong maybe, ping pong ball. Let's just get those going. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer. I'm gonna let them chill for probably about 10 minutes because I want them to be nice and firm before we decorate. There's a few different directions you can go with decorating the bourbon balls. You can do powdered sugar, cocoa powder, there's some chopped nuts. I like to do a little bit of all of them. So let's start off with powdered sugar. Just roll it in there. One note about the powdered sugar option: before serving, you might have to top it off with a little bit more powdered sugar because it does absorb a little bit into the bourbon ball. So don't be afraid to go heavy with it initially. Like that. Let's do one more. Get all those little bald spots covered. Leave no bourbon ball exposed. Looks that very nice. Let's do the nuts. I just have some extra chopped pecans. So we'll just top those off for anybody who really likes pecans. So enjoy this one. I have to press it a little bit to make sure it gets stuck on there. It doesn't stick as easily as the powdered sugars, but that looks really good. And last, we'll try the cocoa powder. Same thing with the cocoa powder. You might have to reapply if you're waiting some hours before serving. The only thing with the cocoa powder is a little bitter because there's no sugar in there. So I tend to go light, and if it absorbs, it's totally fine. Cute. Okay, let's just get these on a plate. Get these lined up. Pecan, powdered sugar. And I have 3 more here, but I want them all to be different. So I'm gonna add some chocolate to this. So we're gonna top these off with chocolate. I'm gonna leave them on this tray because we wanna put these in the freezer once we get the melted chocolate on there. We've got our melted chocolate. I melted this in a double boiler with a little bit of coconut oil, just a little bit, just to help it along, get nice and melty. I probably have way more here than I need for these 3 balls, but I wanna make sure they get completely covered. So let's just throw one in. Just get a little scoopy scoop. Try to get the excess off and then just plop it on there. And don't worry about the top because that's gonna get covered anyway with some additional decoration. Spoon that. Try to get the excess off and then do a little plop. Last one. Oh, melted chocolate smells so good. And a little plop there. Perfect. All right, so while this is still wet, we're gonna decorate it with some additional toppings to make it look super cute. I have a few options. I've got some red sprinkles, some green sprinkles, some gold sprinkles, and you know what? We've got some of these nuts left over too. So I might as well put some of those on top. So let's do one of those. That is gonna look really tasty. If you want to know where I got these sprinkles, you can check the link in the description because you want to make sure, obviously, you're using vegan and gluten-free sprinkles, which can be challenging to find both of those requirements. I love these little gold ones. They're so festive. They're just like little candy balls. And they're falling off the side, but I like that. They just cover the ball. And let's go ahead and make a Christmassy looking one here. We'll do all the green and a little bit of the red, so we have variety. Okay, so we're gonna throw this in the freezer for about 10 to 12 minutes. Now all of our bourbon balls are fully decorated, so all that's left is to give it a taste. So I'm gonna go for powdered sugar. Let's see. That is so good. So balanced between the sweetness, so it's still dessert, but it's like a little shot of bourbon in there. You can definitely taste the bourbon, the nuts, a little crunchiness still from the wafers. It's a super simple recipe that requires no baking. Let me know if you try this. It's perfect for your next party or just for yourself. Till next time, guys. See ya.